Today we're going to show you how to change the temp sensor on your range, and it's a really easy job. All we're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver. Let me show you how we do it. Now before we begin this repair, we will need to gain access to the back of the range, so we're going to want to pull it away from the cabinets far enough that you can get access to the back of it. We'll also need to disconnect the power, so simply pull the plug, or if it's a hardwired, you'll need to locate the breaker or fuse panel and disconnect the power there. Now once we've pulled it far enough forward, you can start by opening the door up fully, and we'll remove the racks and set those aside. Now the temp sensor has two Phillips screws that secure it to the back wall, and it's located in the upper right hand corner here, and it's fairly tight to that broil element, so you need to use caution when you remove the top mounting screw that you don't damage the broil element. And use caution with that upper one so we don't damage the element. So keep your screwdriver at a bit of an angle so that it doesn't contact the element. And if it won't come loose, you will have to remove the two screws for that broil element and get that out of the way first. Once we have the two screws removed from that temp sensor, we can now go to the back of the range and we'll remove the access panel on the back. Now to remove the back panel, we'll also have to take this upper support panel off. And there are two little covers that hide two screws in behind, so we will need to remove those as well. So we can start with that, and then remove the two outer screws that secure that cross piece. And set that aside. Now I have access to 3 screws across the top and 3 more down each side. Let's remove all of those. Then there are also 2 more on the bottom that I suggest you remove. You could tilt that panel out far enough, but it's just much easier to remove those last 2 screws. Now you can just pull forward at the top. Use caution on the edges of that metal, it may be sharp. And then you can lift that tab out of the bottom and we'll set that aside. Now I have access to the connector for the temp sensor. So we're simply going to depress that little locking tab and then pull the connector apart. We can now go around to the front of the oven again and we'll pull that sensor through from the front and we'll push the new one back through the opening. It's probably easier to install the bottom screw first. And don't tighten it completely, just snug it up enough to hold that sensor in place. Line up the screw hole at the top. And then install that screw. And again, make sure that we don't damage that element or the sensor when we put that top screw in. And then tighten both of them securely, and then we can go around to the back again and reconnect the sensor harness. And once we've pulled that connector through for the temp sensor, we can reconnect that, make sure the little locking tab engages, and then we can put the back panel back on. We'll start by setting the bottom in place first and making sure these 2 outsides fit around the raised tabs at the back. Now let's make sure we have it positioned so those 2 bottom screws will line up, and then we'll reassemble. Then just continue your way around that back panel. Make sure we have all those screws nice and tight. Now position that cross piece. And then the 2 intermounting screws, and then the 2 small access covers. There's 2 little hook tabs on the end that we need to engage first, and then line up the screw hole and secure it. We can now push the range back into position and reconnect the power. Now with the back panel back on and the range plugged in, we can reinstall the racks. And our repair is complete.